Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Welcome back to Home Bible Ministry. My name is Wayne Worry, and today we're going to finish up the parable of the tares and the wheat. Okay? If you remember, we began a series on the parables a few days ago, and the first parable from Matthew chapter 13 about the sower and the seed, we found was the Word of God and how it impacts different hearts of men. Some men's hearts are so hard it can't accept the seed. Some hearts are shallow, and others are good ground that produce fruit. So then Christ gives the people gathered there at the seashore. Now these parables in Matthew 13 Jesus gave to the multitudes that were gathered by the Sea of Galilee from a boat offshore. Okay. Then afterward, he came back, and his disciples asked him, "Hey, what was you talking about with those parables?" And he explained them to them. Okay, and he told them it was for them. Okay, the reason he gave parables to the people was because their hearts were hard, their ears were dull of hearing, they'd heard it all before, and we're not going to do anything with it anyway. But the explanation was for his disciples, because they were blessed. They were being prepared to carry the gospel to the world. So this next parable is very similar to the first, okay? Beginning in Matthew 13, verse 24, another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in his field. Again, these are about conditions in the kingdom, all right? The kingdom of heaven is likened. It's also spoken to the multitude. And he explains this in verse 37 to his disciples. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. All right, so once again, he's talking about seed, all right, and the kingdom, and him as the sower. In the first parable, the good seed was the word. The type of ground was the hearts of men. In this parable, the good seed is the fruit, or the next generation of the first seed. The field is expanded to the world, and the children of the kingdom have expanded abroad. All right? So this is like a continuation of the first parable. Matthew 13:25. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Then again, he explains it to his disciples in verses 38b and 39. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. All right? So the enemy of the sower sows his bad seed among the good seed. And the enemy works while men sleep. Notice it says, but while men slept, the enemy came. That means now the men are the servants responsible for minding the field. Okay? They're the disciples. They're the good seed. Okay? To tending the quality of the ground, for maintaining and nurturing the sprouts. But when he says they slept, what it means is that men had become complacent servants. They become lax in their duties. The tares resemble wheat, but bear no fruit. Okay? Tares represent the infiltrators, the apostates, and the reprobates, the children of the devil. It says that the enemy came and sowed his children among the good children and went his way. Okay? The tares grew wild. They didn't need any tending. They're weeds and thorns. They're fruitless stalks crowding out the good seed. Okay? Making it less fruitful. Now, in verse 13, chapter 13, verses 26 through 28. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou not sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy has done this. All right, so the tares initially were indistinguishable from the wheat. They looked the same, okay? Until nearly the harvest time when the wheat begins fruition. The unfruitful tares become apparent to the servants. His servants are those, again, responsible for tending to the crop. 1 Corinthians 3 verses 8 and 9 say, Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. For we, the church, are laborers together with God. Ye, believers, are God's husbandry. Okay? So even there, Paul is comparing us to husbandmen. It's our responsibility to tend to the harvest. So, what do his servants do? They report to the householder, the sower, Jesus. They, the men, question the validity of his seed. Notice they say, didn't you plant good seed? They're questioning the validity of the seed. Okay? And if you planted good seed, why are there tares growing up? So the householder has to explain to them that an enemy did it. Satan has planted his seed among the good seed. He's planted false doctrines among the true doctrines. He's planted reprobates among the believers. And here's the thing. His children look just like us. Okay? They walk the same, talk the same, dress the same. They've got the words to Amazing Grace memorized just like we do. But they produce no fruit. Okay? They have no testimony because they've never accepted Christ as Savior. All right, verse 13, chapter 13, verses 28 through 30. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, No, or nay, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. So the overzealous servants want to go and pluck up the tares from the wheat. Now, isn't that just so typical of the church today and these overzealous, self-appointed church police that want to kick anybody out of the church that they don't see as being fruitful? But Jesus says, no, look, I don't want you doing that. All right, so these servants want to separate the fruitful from the unfruitful. Their intent is good because they want to make the wheat more bountiful. But the householder says no, because pulling the tares could damage the wheat. Their roots are intertwined. Okay? You'll kill the wheat or you'll make it unfruitful. Let them grow together Some fruit is better than no fruit. All right? He doesn't want his servants destroying the whole crop. Not their job. Okay? So it's not your job to separate the tares from the wheat. Not your job to determine who's fruitful and who's not fruitful. All right? Get that in your head. So, Matthew 13:30 and 31. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather you together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. And then he explains it to the disciples in verses 39 and 40. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. All right? So the servants are told to wait until the harvest. Then the reapers will gather both. The reapers are not the husbandmen. Jesus explains, the enemy is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are his angels, not men. Wheat and tares will be separated at the harvest. The tares will be set aside to be burned at a later date, and the wheat will be gathered to his barn. Now the wheat is the fruitful, the righteous. They'll be gathered to his barn, a place of storage until completion of the harvest. All right? Now you have to understand the harvest. The harvest didn't happen all at once. Okay? You had the first fruits, you had the harvest, and you had the gleanings. Okay? There were 3 parts to the harvest. So in this we see the rapture of the church. Okay? So, in verses 41 through 43, he says, the Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into the furnace of the fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. So, the harvest that he's talking about here is not the rapture of the church. It's the end of this world, okay? And this world comes to an end at the end of the tribulation period, when Jesus literally, physically returns to earth and sits on the throne of his glory to judge the good and the bad, okay, the sheep and the goats. This is when Jesus returns. At the end of this present world system, okay, he will send his angels, all right, Matthew 24:31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other, to the throne of his glory judgment. Matthew 25:31. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. So the time period he's talking about here is when he literally, physically returns to the earth to set up the kingdom. All right? The remaining tares, the wicked, the unbelievers, will be cast into eternal fire. The tares were set aside, remember? The tares must go through the tribulation. So you had the harvest of the wheat, okay? The wheat was set aside, put in a barn, all right, for the gleanings. The tares were set aside to burn later. They have to go through the tribulation. Once the wheat is removed from the tares, okay, the tares are set aside. Matthew 25:30 says, And cast ye that unprofitable servant into outer darkness, where there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay? That's the judgment of these unprofitable servants, of these wicked people. All right? That's exactly what he said in Matthew 13:43. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Also in Matthew 25:41, then shall he say unto them on the left hand, or the goats, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Okay? So this is the tares being burned. The wheat, the righteous, will be granted kingdom entry. The gleanings of the tribulation, the sheep, all right, the harvest has already taken place. The rapture of the church, that was the harvest. Then throughout the tribulation, you will have what's called the gleanings. You'll have some people that will be saved and worthy to enter the kingdom through the tribulation. They are the gleanings of the harvest. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Okay? So that's the parable of the tares and the wheat. All right? The wicked, the ungodly, the reprobates, the children of the devil are mixed in among us. Okay? But it's not, they look like us, they talk like us, they walk like us, but they're not us. But it's not our job to do anything about them. Jesus will take care of all of it in the end of the world. Amen? Hey, thanks for coming. Next time we'll finish up the last two parables in chapter 13, which are the mustard seed and the leaven. Okay? So pray on that, read it if you get a chance, and come back. And thanks for visiting our Home Bible Ministry.